Alright, I've got all my colors ground up and ready, and when you're working on your freight cars, one thing you want to try to do is keep your hands as clean as possible. Wash them after doing your grinding up your colors, and just to get any oils off your hands, because you don't want to leave fingerprints on your car, and if you by any chance do, while you're dusting, all of a sudden see this nasty little fingerprint on there, well, you can always take a little washcloth or a soft towel with a little warm soap and water and just wipe the fingerprint off. One thing you don't ever want to use, and if I'm incorrect, someone let me know, but you don't want to use isopropyl alcohol to try to clean oils and stuff like that off your plastics, because depending upon what kind of finish you have on your car and the decals, I mean, isopropyl alcohol is a solvent, and so it might wipe your decals off, or if you have a car that's already been pre-painted, it may damage the finish, take some of the paint off, so you want to avoid that. Just go with warm soap and water to clean off any fingerprints that you happen to come across. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start working on weathering these letters on here. Go ahead and bring this in so you can see what I'm doing. Now I'm just going to take my 400 grit paper and just kind of fold it up like that, and just lightly, hopefully you can see that, just lightly rub over it. Rub over the lettering. Rub over the lettering, just like that, just lightly. Okay? See, it's already starting to have some effect on the decals. You can see it kind of wearing through a little bit. Go ahead, rub over it a little bit here. You can see some of it wear off. Like I say, you don't want to use paper that's too coarse, because what's going to happen is you'll basically you'll take off too much of the decal, and it's going to look pretty nasty. All we want to do is just kind of weather these letters off. You want to give the impression that this car has seen lots of years in the outdoors, like that. Just a little bit like that. Alright. You can see the difference there. Hopefully you can see the difference. Maybe not. I'm seeing it better here from my perspective, but let me take a little bit more off. You'll kind of see there. That's probably a little bit better. Alright, let's get me in the camera there. I'm doing this as a one-man operation, so I have no cameraman to let me know when I'm screwing up, so we're moving out of the shot. So you probably can get the idea of what I'm doing here. Yeah, that looks a little bit more visible to you. And we've got this nice little decal right there. I'm going to go ahead and weather that a little bit. Just lightly. Go over it lightly. Weather this a little bit. We don't want to strip it off completely, but just enough to give the indication that, man, this little freight car has seen some years. Okay, not too much. So you kind of get the idea, and you think, okay, what if you, accidentally, put a few scratches. See, if you use this finer grit sandpaper, I mean, these scratches will disappear. I mean, you won't really see them, and it'll just become a part of the actual weathering of the freight car, so it's not necessarily that bad. At least I haven't found it to be that bad. So now you have the idea what I'm doing with the sandpaper. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off and jump to the other side and do that, and then start weathering, adding some weathering with the chalk. So I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, so I've applied my sandpaper to the decals, and now we have a freight car that looks like it's seen some time in the world. So I got some of this worn off like that, and you may end up with some black dust from the lettering. I just take a clean paintbrush and just kind of wipe it off, dust it off like that. Not a big deal. Just clean some of that powder off. Now I'm ready to go ahead and actually start applying some of my chalk. Let me go ahead and put the coat hanger on because that'll make it a little bit easier to maneuver this thing around. Okay, here we go. Adjust the old zoom on here. Alright. So the colors you use, I suppose, will depend on what area of the country you're modeling. If you're modeling down in the desert Southwest, you may want to use more reddish powder, reddish dusty powder to color this, but it depends. I mean, weathering is weathering, so you can mix and match and play around, and if things don't turn out the way you like it, you can always do blow the dust off like that. And or you could get, go to your hardware store and get some canned air and use that, blow some of the dust off. That's the nice thing about this, is that if something doesn't turn out the way you like it, you can always blow the dust off and start over again. So that's kind of one of the advantages of this method of weathering. I suppose if there's a disadvantage to it, is that once you get your weathering on your car and you apply your matte finish, the matte finish tends to lighten up the weathering so it doesn't look quite as weathered, and you may almost feel inclined that this thing would need a second going over, and that's not necessarily that big of a deal. This, at least the advantage I see it, this gives you more control over what you're doing, so you don't over-weather the first time, so you can layer this stuff nicely and kind of keep a control on how this all turns out. So.